Trump is more popular than he has been since 2016 because people don't trust him.
Karoline Leavitt's $100 million lawsuit against The View has triggered a heated debate about free speech, media accountability, and the impact of uncontrolled criticism on national television. With its partisan taunting and bold claims, what began as a typical talk show episode has turned into a court dispute that might alter how major media outlets cover political discourse. Co-hosts Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, and Whoopi Goldberg are being accused of irresponsible behavior and defamation by former Trump administration press secretary Leavitt, who claims that their remarks not only distorted her but also gravely damaged her career. According to The View, this case could mark a turning point in the continuing debate over the line separating opinion from defamation, making it more than just a PR catastrophe. The conversation began when Sunny Hostin brought up the subject by critiquing the Trump administration's hiring practices. According to Hostin, Leavitt's appointment as press secretary was not a reflection of her qualifications or skills, but rather a conscious decision by Trump to surround himself with easily managed individuals. Hostin argued that Leavitt was chosen because she lacked the bravery or independence to defy the administration's demands, portraying her as a puppet rather than a competent professional.
Second attempted on President Trump's life echoed the sentiment that President Trump is a democracy.
These comments quickly shifted from political criticism to personal attacks, casting doubt on Leavitt's IQ, work ethic, and honesty. Joy Behar, who is renowned for her blunt remarks and polarizing style, intensified the discussion even more. Behar claimed that Trump only hired Leavitt because of her physical attributes, valuing her beauty over her credentials. Even while Behar portrayed the statements as part of her usual amusing remarks, many viewers saw them as blatantly misogynistic, reducing Leavitt's accomplishments to nothing more than her appearance. In addition to harming Leavitt's reputation, this comment perpetuated unfavorable perceptions about women in the workplace, which made it particularly cruel. Whoopi Goldberg brought a very different and unnatural viewpoint to the discussion by contributing her voice. Goldberg made the case that Leavitt's rise to prominence was actually the result of her wokeness, claiming that social justice movements had paved the way for her career success. Without the efforts of women and minorities who battled for inclusion, Goldberg says Leavitt would never have been able to hold such a prominent position. This argument contradicted Behar's prior claim, leaving viewers confused as to whether Leavitt was purportedly a recipient of privilege or affirmative action. The flaws of these attacks exposed a persistent issue on The View: the host's tendency to choose sensationalism above reason. The remarks were harsh, personal, and unrelated to any real critique of Leavitt's work or policies, in addition to being contradictory.
Lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie, and yes, you will take political.
Many conservatives view this as simply another example of how the media frequently makes baseless accusations against right-leaning people, making them appear unfit or incompetent based solely on their political affiliations. The comments, according to Karoline Leavitt, were defamatory and beyond political discussion. She claims that in addition to being false, Hostin, Behar, and Goldberg's remarks were hurtful and deliberate, meant to damage her reputation and jeopardize her career. By filing a $100 million lawsuit, Leavitt demonstrated her resolve and that she would not tolerate being disparaged on national television without suffering any consequences. Her legal team focuses on the harmful impact of the presenter's comments, which they say went beyond opinion to character assassination. The court case's conclusion will determine whether the host's comments are considered defamatory or protected speech. Although there are limitations, free speech laws allow for strong opinions and even harsh criticism. For a comment to be considered defamatory, it must be egregiously false, harmful, and made with reckless disregard for the truth. Hostin, Behar, and Goldberg knew or should have known that their comments were baseless, yet they made them to entertain their audience and make political points, according to Leavitt's lawyers. This lawsuit puts ABC and The View in a precarious position. Despite the program's long history of surviving crises, this example presents a higher danger. If Leavitt is able to prove her claims, the network might face serious financial and reputational consequences. A $100 million payout would hurt ABC a lot, but the greater concern is the precedent it would set. More scrutiny and stricter guidelines about acceptable remarks may be applied to media outlets. The repercussions have already begun. The View's approach, which encourages impromptu conversations on contentious subjects, is criticized for regularly generating impulsive and inflammatory remarks. For years, the co-hosts have faced criticism for their tendency to make generalizations, and derogatory comments, particularly when discussing conservative politicians. This case has intensified these objections, with many calling on ABC to regulate the show's most controversial elements. The case has also sparked a broader cultural debate about the role of the media in political discourse. The lawsuit's supporters argue that it's past time for someone to hold media corporations accountable for their deeds, particularly in relation to their treatment of conservatives. They believe that shows like The View have grown too comfortable using their platforms to insult and condemn people without evidence, expecting no serious consequences. For them, this case is a much-needed wake-up call forever. The lawsuit's opponents are worried about how it will impact the right to free speech. They argue that prominent figures, especially those in political positions, should expect to face harsh criticism, and that cases such as this one could impede. If media organizations become overly cautious out of fear of legal action, the depth and quality of public discourse may suffer. These problems have complicated the matter and made it more than just a personal dispute. It measures the degree to which freedom of speech and responsibility are matched. For Leavitt, the stakes are rather high. She is battling for her job and against a biased media culture that she believes unfairly singles out conservatives, in addition to suing to clean her name. Her supporters have applauded her for presenting herself as a warrior who is willing to take on entrenched institutions through the legal system. However, the legal war is not without its risks. If she loses, it might reinforce the notion that public officials must accept criticism as an essential component of their work, even when it feels very personal. Both sides are prepared for a difficult fight as the case develops. In addition to being offensive, Leavitt's legal team is focusing on the harm the host's remarks cause, arguing that they were also harmful to her career. The primary argument ABC will likely make is that the co-host's comments were First Amendment protected opinions. The outcome of this action will depend on whether the judge views the remarks as defamatory or as part of the vibrant political dialogue that defines shows like The View. The implications of this action extend well beyond Leavitt and The View. If she prevails, media outlets could be compelled to reevaluate their analysis, which might result in less of the hate speech that has come to characterize political talk shows. It raises important questions for viewers about what they anticipate from these programs and how responsible they are for maintaining divisive narratives. There is more at the heart of this problem than just one person's reputation. It has to do with the culture of public discourse and the accountability of those who shape it. Whether you see Leavitt's lawsuit as an overreach that threatens free expression or as a courageous protest against media prejudice, the consequences will be felt for years to come. As the legal fight progresses, there will undoubtedly be more conversations about the responsibilities of media outlets and the limits of criticism in a divided society.